Patience, patience, patience. Those are the words coming out of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's mouth. Too many Manchester United fans. We've all heard the interviews this week. They've been reported as well. We need to be patient and let this process take hold and bring Manchester United back. But what are we being patient for? Why are we being patient or need to be patient? I want to look into the Dan Ashworth side of things today and why the whole setup of Manchester United and what we're doing in the summer. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe has alluded to this as well in interviews recently about until Dan Ashworth getting in place at Manchester United, to not expect much going on. Don't expect much to happen in that time. This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. I'm taking a deep dive into what's going on with Dan Ashworth right now, where we're up to, what has been reported that has gone under the radar because of other things, important things you would say, in terms of Ten Hag reviews and all that. It has gone completely amiss. So I want to bring you back up to date with what's happening there, why things are so slow with Dan Ashworth, and what the issues are, mainly, what has happened, because there's not a lot of people actually know what has gone down behind the scenes with Dan Ashworth recently. But we'll get into all of that. We'll talk transfers at the end and what's the current state of affairs with certain players. There's not much more to report on that side of it. Just a couple of things which are interesting ones that go against what other people have been saying. But again, that's not new in the media world. There is contrasting reports all of the time. But yeah, please give the video a like. Subscribe to Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Let's get into it. Hope everybody is well. If you are live, get your comments in. If not, and you're catching up, make sure you get commenting below and give me your opinions on everything going on right now. I think what you have to start with is like the importance of actually having a director of football. I think Manchester United fans, and I looked at this and I've listened to opposition fans talking about Dan Ashworth, talking about directors of football. And one thing that Manchester United fans are not used to is actually having a structure and a director of football. And maybe we've taken it for granted as to how much and how valuable this person is at a football club, because we're laughing off the fact that Newcastle want a certain amount of money. But I just listened to a few Newcastle channels just to get their side of things on the Dan Ashworth, because I like to have it from both sides, as you know, balance out the whole argument as such. But listening to them, like, they're talking about, and they're doing like a regular roundup of what's happening with Newcastle, and they're talking like, oh, we're getting ideas of transfers coming in, this sounds good, that sounds good, but when are we going to get our director of football in? When is our new director of football coming in? It seems to other fans that this is a massive importance to them, even more important than actually having players come in, new signings actually happening. It's like, when are we going to get our director of football? It's the norm to these other fans and these other football clubs. And they understand the value of a director of football. So when we're moaning about Everton holding out for Jared Branthwaite, someone made a great comment on last night's show. Well, what would we value Kobbie Mainoo? First season, only been proven for one season. What would we value Kobbie Mainoo at? It's the same thing. They value their asset as much as we value ours. We don't actually understand or know what having a director of football is and how much of an importance it is to a football club. So Jim Ratcliffe clearly understands it from his time at Nice and why he's trying to bring this structure in and put the people around it. He's already called Ten Hag a coach, and isn't the most important thing. It's the sporting side of things and everything around the coach that matters. He's not even calling him a manager anymore. He's a head coach. In all of the interviews this week, he said the same thing. He was a good coach at Ajax. He's a good coach at Manchester United. We're going to build around Ten Hag and give him the best facilities and the best people to support him going forward. It's quite clear that a big piece of that is Dan Ashworth. And getting Dan Ashworth through the door has been a big, awkward, I'd say bugbear or like pain in the ass for Sir Jim Ratcliffe since he's taken over Manchester United. But it's quite clear that, one, Sir Jim Ratcliffe underestimated Newcastle and the importance that Dan Ashworth is for them. It's all right him saying you cannot stop someone best in class from carrying on with his work. Yes, I understand all of that. Dan Ashworth is brilliant at his job or whatever, but you've got to understand the rules of what you're walking into. Again, all he's talked about at the moment, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, for me, is rules. He doesn't like these rules. He doesn't like these commitments and everything else that's around UEFA, the Premier League, the way it works, the gardening leave. He doesn't like the gardening leave. He doesn't like a lot about how the big football clubs are run, how the Premier League is run, and how UEFA is run. And I said this the other day, look, let's just shut up about that and deal with the situation in hand and what you have to deal with. You have to adapt to what's actually going on. and adapt to the new environment, because this is new for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Yes, he's a big player in many parts of the world and why he's become a billionaire, but you can't just walk into a Premier League, a massive Premier League club like United, and expect everyone to roll over because you're United and you've put what you think is valuable and what you think is a fair bid on certain things. Players, directors of football. Manchester United currently are at 2 million for Dan Ashworth and Newcastle are at 20 million. That to me tells you a club that's experienced in having a structure and a club that's got new ownership and isn't experienced in this department, and you've got loggerheads. That's where you're at right now. So Jim just cannot get it through his head. And I'm saying this just from what I'm listening to and what I'm reading him say. These are the words coming out of the man's mouth. Like, he cannot understand gardening leave, doesn't think it's right. Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't work, Sir Jim. You have to succumb to the rules that are obviously in place already. Dan Ashworth's situation has been made worse by what he has actually done. Obviously, the first mistake that Dan Ashworth made was sending messages to and from Omar Barada through his old Newcastle email account. Now, we've all heard about them stories and what's actually happened with that, but the problem we've got as well now is that we didn't know about this, and this broke out last week sometime by iNews, which was that Dan Ashworth, only 3 days later after being put on gardening leave by Newcastle, visited Wolves director of football, Matt Hobbs. Now, obviously, you're not allowed to communicate at all with any other Premier League club or any other department of a Premier League club under gardening leave rules. So when this arbitration side of thing comes to the fore, from what Dan Ashworth is appealing for now and what's actually going forward, with Newcastle and United arguing the compensation and Dan Ashworth just trying to get out of his gardening leave, all of these issues, mistakes, are all going to come into fore, I think, for Dan Ashworth and go against him and set Manchester United up with a big, big problem in arguing this case. I just feel like Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the end will have to succumb and pay more money than what he wants to. He isn't going to win this case for me, I don't think. Because to go 3 days later having been put on gardening leave and speak to another director of football, seriously, like, come on. Like, what is Dan Ashworth doing? The email mistake was one on its own, but this, and yes, when you read deeper into it, he has a family member, I think a nephew or a son, I think it was, who's actually in the academy at Wolves at the time, and still, it's no right to go out. You know the position you're in. You're employed by Newcastle. You're still employed by Newcastle. You're on gardening leave, being paid, and you go out and visit another director from another football club, not even Manchester United. Now, United were made aware of this, and obviously they have said, in terms of the arbitration side of things, that it's got nothing to do with them. That was something that Dan Ashworth did of his own accord and has nothing to do with United. Does not care, because it goes against the actual profile of Dan Ashworth, really. And we're trying to get Dan Ashworth away from Newcastle. So he's already broke the rules straight away. Now, the other bit to that, which has made things awkward for him, was, I think, if you remember the Gary O'Neill links? Manchester United offering Gary O'Neill a coaching role at Manchester United. It came at exactly the same time that it's been reported that Dan Ashworth was visiting Wolves. And so, obviously, everyone starts putting two and two together and starting to make a story out of it. And it doesn't help Manchester United again. It's just basically sloppy mistakes that are happening behind the scenes, particularly from Dan Ashworth's side, and straight away you start to think, Jesus Christ, what is this guy all about? Like, all he has to do is just stay quiet and let the process take over. But yeah, I tell you, it's complicated when you look at all of the details put together. But I just look at it and go, he's got 18 months gardening leave right now. That's ridiculous. I know that sounds ridiculous. So is Newcastle win? Manchester United have no director of football, no Dan Ashworth, until January 2026. So if they get their way, then that's what it is. Ineos, what's more important to them? What's more valuable to them? Spending a bit of money on Dan Ashworth and getting paying a bit more compensation when they don't want to, but losing out on deals for the next 18 months because he is the man and the link and everything that is Manchester United's transfer window, because this is what we're being told to be patient with. So Jim Ratcliffe, again, the words have come out of his mouth that until Dan Ashworth comes through the door, don't expect things to get moving straight away. He's told, the Manchester United staff have been told, until Dan Ashworth is in place, don't expect the recruitment side to be in full swing. I mean, geez, you're in an arbitration case here. Newcastle are going nowhere. They're not gonna buckle. They don't give a toss about Dan Ashworth anymore and Manchester United's situation. Manchester United and Newcastle are at the same level right now in the league table. Let's not forget that. And to be testing the water even with this situation from Ineos. I mean, have we made a counter bid? That, as far as we know, the official stance is 2 to 20 million. Newcastle, 20 million compensation. Man United and Ineos value him at 20 million compensation. It's a million miles apart right now and where we're at with Dan Ashworth and this whole case. And for Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe to be basically hanging out our whole transfer window on Dan Ashworth coming through at Manchester United, it's a very, very risky game right now. And I just don't think that he's thought this through. Like, he couldn't have. I understand he's probably a man that is used to getting his way and used to getting what he wants, and eventually it works, but you cannot take the rules of the Premier League and the rules of Garden League and everything else that's going on, you cannot take them and just throw them out and expect them to change just for you. This is Newcastle United against Manchester United. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and I always go back to it, in that video I said the first mistake Ineos made in just thinking that they can go out there and go and get Dan Ashworth all of a sudden. They've made an enemy now out of Newcastle completely. And I'm not bothered about making enemies, but you've got to understand when they stand firm and the relationship is now tarnished, basically. He's 2 years left on his contract. How are we actually thinking that we can get this man out of his contract 2 years early for peanuts like we are doing? Again, it comes back to what I said at the start of the show. I just don't think we understand the role of a director of football at this football club as much or as important as it should be. We are in a position where we are new to this game. Everybody else looks at United and is laughing at us right now simply because we think it's amazing that we've got Berardi, Wilcox, Dan Ashworth coming in and we're going to be this new force. No, every other club in the bleeding Premier League has got this set up. We're just miles behind it because we're stupid, arrogant and incompetent, thinking that we can just do things the Manchester United way while everyone else has just walked past us. We are miles, we are years behind the times and we need to get this sorted. We do, and we have to pay a price, I feel, to get this sorted. We cannot just expect Newcastle to give up on this. They're not going to, and honestly, unless he puts his hand in his pocket and spends a little bit more money, then this deal is not going to happen, and Manchester United's summer is completely in the balance because of it. Do we actually need Dan Ashworth in for this summer? That's another question I want to ask. Like, what's going on right now? Apparently, we've bid for 2 or 3 players already, so really, do we desperately need Dan Ashworth to be in right now? Do we really need him to be in? Should we not just be getting on with it? We should be getting on with it. We should be getting on with transfers and getting these players over the line. We don't need Dan Ashworth right away. You can't expect Dan Ashworth to come in and go and change everything up at Manchester United like in one summer. Like, Dan Ashworth's work will be years and years down the line for Manchester United, hopefully. But this summer, we just have to make sure that we set the stall out like we have been doing. If we don't like the deal at Everton with Branthwaite, we walk away. Or we go and find another target. We spoke about all of that. There is a basic structure that can be implemented this summer without Dan Ashworth. And I just don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe should be coming out and warning us all off that the recruitment side of things is not going to move forward until Dan Ashworth's in place. For me, that's a load of crap. You cannot stop because one man isn't in place. No. And do you know what? I feel like Manchester United moving forward will still make these deals happen. And it will make this whole thing look even more stupid. I mean, who goes to another Premier League club and has a meeting with another director of football 3 days after going on garden leave? You're questioning the man already just through doing stupid things like that. Manchester United's summer right now, we know where we're at. We know we're on a shoestring budget. But we just need to get on with it. We need to get on with it. Tyrell, thank you. Cheers everybody for joining in. I'm going to come to the comment section now. I think I've basically got everyone completely up to date with everything that's happening with Dan Ashworth right now. And yeah, let's get some questions from you guys. Should this really be what Manchester United's summer is hinged on? I don't, and this is why I'm quite miffed off about it, to be honest. It just seems to be, again, like everyone says it all the time with me and like going about the excuses, but I just hate excuses. Like, you don't need Dan Ashworth in place now to get on with things. Jim Ratcliffe knows exactly how garden leave works. Ineos do it. All of these big companies do it in business. Yeah, it's like they don't come in and expect it to be any different because it's the best in class. Exactly, Marty. Gary says, with Ineos suddenly raising their profile with their products on TV, now have they bought United to be a promotion platform for their main revenue stream, i.e. chemicals. Time will tell. Time will tell a lot with this ownership and what they do. Everyone who is commenting on Louise last night, big up Louise for coming on, making her debut last night. Go watch that video back, guys. It's the last video on the channel. We had a panel show last night, which we're going to be doing weekly again now. Everyone loved it last night. It won't be as late going forward, but obviously we will be continuing it because it was a great success last night as well. So go watch that back, and big up Louise for her first show and first ever appearance on YouTube. Massive. The Ferocious says that they've made a mess with Ashworth, Todibo and Eric Ten Hag. Ineos already showing their inexperience at this level. I would definitely agree with that, Ferocious. He is Mike Ashley 2.0, says Jake, the Newcastle fan. Daryl Ashworth is not worth 20 million. It's pathetic. Yes, we can't expect 2 million to be accepted, but it doesn't mean Newcastle are correct in this either. It's worth whatever they value him at. He's their director of football. He's under contract at Newcastle, and as absurd as it sounds, it's like Everton saying Jared Branthwaite's worth 70 million. We know he's not. It's ridiculous. But they can do what they want. They're in the power position right now. And it's not about it being right or wrong. I agree it's ridiculous. He's not worth 20 million. But it's understanding the situation. You want to take a rival's key cog in their transfer and running and football business and the way it's run at Newcastle. You want to take that away from them while he's still got over 2 years left on his contract and just put him straight in place in Manchester United, one of their rivals, who are competing against them with the power that Newcastle have got and the ownership model that they have got. And we all know how they are and how they will take no for an answer, how they won't take no for an answer themselves, and how strict they are with things at Newcastle with the Saudi ownership. That you just have to understand that this is not going to be a clean-cut situation. It's not going to happen. He's just making it sound like this is completely new and they should just accept it. They shouldn't, and they won't. We just have to negotiate, I feel, and work this out. Welcome to the world of top-flight Premier League football, I would say. Someone's saying, what am I on about? Why am I always moaning? I'm not moaning. I'm moaning about Manchester United not going forward. If I'm moaning about Ten Hag, you say I'm moaning. If I'm moaning about Ineos, it's the same thing. I'm moaning still. Tell me what's good about Manchester United right now, mate, and then I'll talk about that. I'm only talking about what's going on. Maybe you should stop moaning about me moaning. Dan and Jim just need to sit out the garden leave period, pay no compensation. United just need to appoint an interim, says Jonathan. Could that happen? Have we not already got enough in place already? Berardi's in from in about 3 weeks' time. So that's good news for Manchester United. Jason Wilcox is already making waves, it would seem, and impressing people at United. So he could play a pivotal role for us going forward as well. So, yeah, I think we've got enough people in place right now to actually move forward. And you know what? In time, when Dan Ashworth does come through, like Jonathan says, it'll be even better for us. Like, nothing's going to happen overnight. Nothing's going to happen overnight, is it? I think we need to understand that. Please give the video a like, guys. Just creeping up to 500 in the room with us. Almost at 100 likes. We need to get that up, mods. Come on. You're sleeping on the job now, guys. Let's get at it. Give the video a like, everybody. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button as well. It's 20 million when you got 20 billion in your bank account. What's 20 million when you've got 20 billion in your bank account? I don't think they've got 20 bill like readily available. There are liquid assets and some cash available. It's definitely not 20 billion, no. Or do you mean the Saudi side of things? Probably, if you're going down the Saudi side of things from Newcastle's point of view, yeah, I understand that. 18 months, a long time to not be relevant, however, good as you are. As true, how real and how good is Dan Ashworth actually at his job? Is taking time out this long going to affect him and how he operates? Honestly, I just feel like it's just going to come down to an in the middle agreement made, and I don't know, actually. I don't know. I mean, Newcastle, they're not bothered. They're not bothered. They're really not. That's what I keep coming back to. I'm like, there's going to be this in the middle agreement. I just don't think they're going to do it. As much as I say, look, Sir Jim just needs to come to the table and just like negotiate and try and get an understanding with Newcastle and actually meet in the middle somewhere. I don't actually think that's going to happen. Adam, Ineos does not have money to spend. For Ineos buying 25% of United was a big mistake, and he's keeping Ten Hag. Jonathan, keeping Ten Hag's a big mistake as well, I think you mean there, yes. They do have money. I mean, it's been proven in liquid assets and cash that's available to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He does have money. And again, like I don't think that staffing situation works in PSR and financial fair play. So I don't think we need to worry about it too much in terms of them. Like, they can spend 50 million on the training ground. They can spend 20 million getting the so-called best in class if they want to move Man United forward this summer. If not, wait it out. Don't spend it. But don't use it as an excuse to actually not start bringing players in and get Man United moving this summer. Like, we cannot wait for Dan Ashworth. If we are going to wait for Dan Ashworth, then targets are going to go. And we're not going to get who we need. So let's look at it realistically. There's no reason why United should not be getting on with business. Kelman moved to Chelsea for 19 million, while Madsen went to Aston Villa for 37 million. This seems dodgy, as it appears Chelsea and Aston Villa might be laundering money. There's plenty of dodgy stuff going on. If it's Jarvis, and if it is, they'll get found out. The best thing we can do is stay away from all of that corruption, especially what's going on with City at the moment and everything like that. Saeed, he's in the house. What's happening, Saeed, mate? Hope you're good. Yeah, guys, like Saeed said there, why are you not liking the video? Like, seriously, there's loads of people in. So let's get liking the video. And how loyal is Trashworth? He leaves clubs after 2-3 years every time. Ashworth, Rashford, Trashworth. That's a new one, alongside Trashford, and now we've got Trashworth as well. That's something that you have to look into as well, honestly. When the conversation with Dan Ashworth was being brought up, obviously you look at like the FA, Brighton, he left them quite quick. He's jumped ship at Newcastle quite quick. Is there anywhere else he can go further up after Manchester United? There probably is. But still, you've got to look at it and go, there's no way that we can say that Dan Ashworth is going to be loyal to Manchester United after what he's done so far. If you're judging Dan Ashworth for everything that he's done over the last, 2 years, then he doesn't look that good. In reality, he doesn't look that great. Like, there's mistakes I've just been talking about, like going visiting Wolves CEO when you're on gardening leave. The mistake with the emails, having communications with a member of staff that's going to be joining Manchester United in Omar Barada. And then you're looking at the situation with Tonali, a player that he brought in at Newcastle, not checking the background and the history of what was going on, which is a director of footballer's job, i.e. the gambling issues with Tonali and the charges that he was up against, and not knowing about that, and then bringing him in, and then obviously then Newcastle's season completely curtailing off after the reports came out on him being charged. I mean, that's a big clanger. And that's pretty much Dan Ashworth's last year, really. And it doesn't look fantastic. So, again, like, where he has done good in the past and we don't see a lot of his good work, what's being put out in the public eye right now doesn't look great for Dan Ashworth, in my opinion, either. So, Adam, people don't like the video because you literally never stop begging people to do it. So bloody annoying, and the reason I haven't subscribed. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Andrew. I just asked you to like the video because it's free. And yeah, we really don't care then if you're not bothered about it. But yeah, you could have actually just liked the video instead of moaning and bitching about it. It took you longer to write that stupid message, mate, rather than actually like the video. So yeah. Everybody does it, mate. It just helps us move forward. There's nothing wrong in asking for a like. Sorry I've upset you and ruined your day. Punch Eric Ten Hag in or out. If the person supports Manchester United, then we are on the same side. Ridicule is for opposition fans. There you go. Over 500 in the room, guys. Cheers, everybody. Please do give the video a like. It is nice. Do nice things. And yeah, please make sure you are subscribing as well. Andrew, you have subscribed because you commented. Stu, good point. Yeah. The longer we are without getting targets, the further down the list we will go, and we will end up with 4th and 5th choice targets. That's a conversation we were having last night in terms of Man United's targets. Targets being like great if we're not happy with the price, walk away. But where do you draw the line? Because you cannot forget that Manchester United need a quality of player coming in as well. And if we do keep walking away from the big or so-called big fees for the better players, then we're going to end up falling down the line. It's a true comment, because how far can we drop down that line before we say, look, sorry, this player's not good enough for Man United. We can't bring him in. We do at least need players that are actually good enough for Manchester United. It's, you know what, you have to. Sooner or later, United are going to have to commit to one of the fees. We can't just say no to everything because we don't think that's the right price. Like, some of the prices are ridiculous. They definitely are. But some of them, obviously, there is room in there. It's like the Xerxes one, and why we've all been talking about that. Like you can see at the bottom of your screen there, Manchester United want to agree personal terms before triggering the 34 million. Apparently, there is a proposal from Kia Joorabchian. We spoke about it last night regarding the commission for his agent's fees. It's going to take Xerxes' purchase up to, what was it now? It worked out around about 42 million. And that's what it's going to be. 42 million for a 23-year-old that's unproven. Manchester United clearly, with Branthwaite, have also gone in. It's hard to understand how they value certain players. I feel like Xerxes, 42 million for that type of player, I think that's worth it. I do. I think that's worth the money. I think that is a good deal. And United should be going in on that and just getting the deal done, getting a player in that we desperately need, and moving forward from there. Branthwaite, I think he's worth 50 million. And if Everton don't come to the table, walk away. Yes, that's fine, but who's next? You're always said he doesn't want to come to England because he's 18 and he's waiting for Madrid. Obviously, we know about... Oh, thank you. Kaz has brought a brew. Everyone say thanks to Kaz. There we go. Lovely. Yeah, like the Ferocious says there, Xerxes is... Oh, what? Xerxes is a deal that doesn't need dragging on. It doesn't need dragging on. Andrew, I'm with you, mate. Don't worry. You were born a year before me, so I'll let you off, pal. I love everyone commenting. I never get angry with anyone. I always joke about it. It's all banter. But yeah, we're nearly at 150 likes anyway, so I know you've liked it, Andrew, because you love it. I love banter. Oh, God, it keeps me going in these boring Euro days. God, I don't even want to go on about the Euro. Honestly, I think they've been shit. But yeah, in terms of the Xerxes deal, like the Ferocious said there, sorry, going back to that, it's a deal that's set out, it's perfect. Look, you know it's going to happen. United have agreed personal terms, hopefully, and that's the stumbling block. It's not a stumbling block, but that's what they want to do because they're happy to bid the 34 million and the 8 million will come in. 42 million, he won't be on mega bucks wages. United have got the forward in. Line drawn under it, let's concentrate on midfield and defence. I think we can get around the Todibo issue personally. And we talked about it last night. I think Todibo will be, a cup-tied player. Buy him. We can, surely UEFA cannot stop Manchester United buying Todibo and stop him playing. Like, there is no rule. I don't think there is a rule which says you cannot buy a player. So obviously the Premier League have voted in their rule, which is the only one that would have stopped Todibo actually happening. So the Premier League voted in their rule, which was you are allowed to buy from dual-owned clubs, i.e. Newcastle can buy players and sell players from Newcastle to one of the Saudi-owned teams. City can do it with the likes of Girona and other teams that they own in their sporting model. So that's fair enough. That's fine. So United can do that there. The only thing that UEFA is saying is he can't buy a player that's playing in the same competition. Well, if United are not in that competition next year and Nice are, then we can buy him then. I just feel like there's a loophole there definitely for Todibo, and that's your back out for Branthwaite. We don't, and we're not able to play at Todibo in the Europa League next season. That's it. That's all it is. Like, there's got to be something in there. I personally feel with terms agreed, and Sir Jim has pretty much said that he wants to come to Manchester United. Obviously, I understand it's a bit of a kick in the teeth regarding not being able to play in the Europa League because you need him in all competitions. But still, if it means getting Todibo in and we are not able to play him in the Europa League only, I mean, now, come on, yeah, let's just do it. We've got enough in our defence, surely, to actually get a team out there on the pitch and deal with the Europa League. There's no guarantee that bleeding Martinez, there's no guarantee that any of them players in that squad right now are going to be fit for the bleeding season. So why would you even gamble? Like, if you need a defender in, get him in. You know what? Just get him in. Get Todibo in, because Branthwaite, the more it drags out, I feel like we're just getting a no. Like, Everton are digging their heels in, just like Newcastle are with Ashworth, like we've spoken about. It's like they're not going to. It's like Man United want us to act and give them a verdict within the next 48 hours. Well, in the words of some absolute numpties, you can smith all on that one. That's what Everton are saying. If you know, you know. I don't usually do that, but I thought it was very funny the other day when I seen someone doing that. But that's what Everton's stance is. It's like, we don't give a shit of what you think or what time scale. We're quite within our rights to say, see you later. We don't care. We'll just sit here and wait forever and a day for someone to come in with the valuation we've got for Branthwaite. Couldn't give a toss, basically. So Manchester United, really, we're saying, look, 48 hours, give us a new price, come down on price for Branthwaite. That's for United to deal with. And I think Man United should just be walking away. Like, Everton are like, well, you're going to have to walk away then, aren't you? It's a simple one. Out you go. You said that you're going to walk away if no deal is found or a new price comes in. We're not going to give you a new price. So, yeah, they've called the bluff, basically. And they've not responded within 48 hours. That's according to reports, obviously. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I think if United have said, look, there's 35 with add-ons or whatever, and we've not heard anything else, but United are asking Everton to drop their bid, they've clearly give United another offer. Like, they've said, look, we value Branthwaite at this price. And, yeah, that's where we're at with it. So I just look at it and go, yeah, just move away. You've just got to make it happen. Look, no one expected Ineos to come in and absolutely turn Man United around within one summer. It's ridiculous to think it. I'm on board with what Ineos says, like 3 summer transfer windows. Double A said it last night. Why are we ignoring the January transfer window? There is business that can be done in January. If United are looking at players that are worth maybe 15, 20 million that are not actually competing in these European competitions with us, then we can actually look at the January transfer window and get players through the door. So it's not a no-go completely, but I still feel like it's a few too many excuses from Sir Jim Ratcliffe just to delay things. If Adam ever used swivel on it on a serious conversation, I think R would be the end. I think R would be the end. Yeah. Yeah, who says that? Oh, God. Never mind. Yeah, apparently there was a massive story out this morning as well about Ineos being really upset with Erik ten Hag. The story came out the Sun. It was about Ten Hag talking about how Ineos went out to meet him on his holiday and they didn't want it to be out in public. What's bleeding new? That's United. Ten Hag, everyone moans about defending Ten Hag and actually things leaking out from the football club. Well, Ten Hag's just as bad as United because all he's done is leak it out to Dutch national TV himself about what's going on behind the scenes. So, yeah, it's like everyone's caught the bug at United. Even Ten Hag's got it now. He's leaking things out and saying things apparently he shouldn't be saying. I don't care. It's absolutely nothing. God's sake, get some transfers in and get on with a bastard season. There's more important things that need to happen on the pitch than people's squabbles outside it. Stephen Kirkpatrick, hi Adam, Newcastle is lovely to see. Hi Adam, Newcastle, probably Newcastle fan here. It's lovely to see a Man United fan talking a lot of sense. Good channel you have there. Try and get yourself on the Toon review sometime. I think we will, mate. Cheers for that, Stephen, pal. Send me a message, mate, as well. Hit me up. We'll do some stuff together, mate. I always like doing crossovers from other channels because I just like opposite fans' opinions because it's not tinted or tainted. It's not red tinted glasses on. They see it for what it is, real. And this was my whole thing with Ten Hag, really. It's like why everyone was cheering at United, every opposition fan and opposition club were actually celebrating that Ten Hag still had the job. It says a lot. There was a great, someone put a meme out the other day of like the Scooby-Doo when they unmasked the villain at the end of the series and they unmask Southgate and it's Ten Hag underneath. I just banter again. I know, it's just a bit of banter. Take it lightheartedly. It's I thought it was funny, to be honest, because England have been shit. I heard a guy on the radio this morning making excuses for Gareth Southgate, saying it's the players. It's the players. Yeah, well, I'll tell you a player would be doing a lot better than what Trent is Kobe Mainoo. So why don't you play him? Fucking idiots. And no, I don't think England will win. But yeah, just to finish up on that actually, the Euros has been absolutely shit, hasn't it? Like, the football's been so crap. Kaz nailed it this morning when she said, I was so sick of watching Man United all season being bored to death and then putting me off football because it's been that bad. You were looking forward to the Euros and to get something out of this absolutely quality England side. And it's just the same bleeding football. It's boring, turgid shit. There's no identity at all to it. And until he actually starts taking a risk, it's going to carry on and you're going to get slaughtered, honestly. That Spain will destroy England. Anyone, if anything. So I can think of, 5-6 teams that will destroy England the way we're playing at the moment. And yeah, you can grow into a tournament, get confident and get better. But you've got, Slovenia to find your feet now? And that's no given. And then, and that's no given. And then you're into the knockout phases where you can't just sit back. You can't try and play pragmatic football and take no risks. The other brilliant one about Southgate this morning was when Southgate's phone goes to 99% charge, he puts it in safe battery mode, power saving mode. That's another doozy, that one. I like it. You got to entertain yourself, haven't you? That's what it's all about. And right now, oh God, England are not giving us much entertainment. The Euros, it's like last night's game, I thought. France, Holland, yes. Some decent football. On paper, look fantastic. What a load of shit. It's worse than watching bleeding England. So without Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on the team, France are crap. I'm only saying that because he's joked about that himself as well. So don't shoot the messenger on that one. Don't ever go at me for that. But yeah, honestly, fucking Euros are shit. It's the worst tournament I've watched in years, honestly. Like, the Qatar World Cup was better than this, and I hated the fact that was being played in the middle of a season. But I actually enjoyed the World Cup better than the Euros. Honestly, it's ruining the summer. It's that bad. It's shit. I'm actually taking a day off from it today. So yeah, I should be able to enjoy my Saturday for a change. But yeah, to recap everything that's gone on, what we've been talking about, Dan Ashworth's situation and where we're at. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been talking about this being the major delay in Manchester United's summer. I think it's a load of bollocks personally. But yeah, don't expect much of the recruitment side to kick into gear really until Dan Ashworth comes through the door. Well, we're nowhere near with Dan Ashworth because Newcastle are standing strong as they're in their rights to. United are trying to take their director of football away who's got 2 years left on his contract. And we're not giving them enough compensation. It's going to arbitration, but against Dan Ashworth in that arbitration case is the misdemeanors are the stupidity, mistakes that he's that he's doing well on gardening leave, i.e. 3 days after being put on gardening leave, going visiting Matt Hobbs, who is the director of football at Wolves. He's not allowed to visit or have communication with any Premier League director or anyone with the club or any other club while he's on gardening leave. So that was the one. We obviously know about the email situation and communications with Berardi on his Newcastle account. Jesus Christ. And that's all going against him and just falling into the hands of Newcastle, who really are just going to say, give us 20 million. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Honestly, if Sir Jim doesn't want to pay the money for Dan Ashworth, then we'll see you in 2026. Let's just deal with what we've got at the football club right now. Just get on with it. Or pay the money. Pay something. I think he's just dug his heels in now and he's just made it difficult. And Newcastle have probably just said, okay, forget the negotiations. You come in, all guns blazing. We're just going to take you for what we can. I think that's the situation we're in right now. Hopefully it changes and something actually happens. But still, you've got to look at it and go, it doesn't look promising. It doesn't. I'm sorry for the people who said I'm always moaning about things. Aren't we all moaning as football fans? You tell me, what's good about Man United at the moment, apart from the youth academy? And what's good about England and what we're watching on TV right now? Is there anything decent out there? Come on, be serious. Like, what have we got? We're entertaining ourselves by laughing at memes and jokes and stupid things that idiots have been doing on YouTube right now. That's how bad the football is, for God's sake. But yeah, no, absolute pleasure having you all on board, guys. Love all of your opinions. It's been a great comment section, actually, today. Thank you to the mods. We've had over 175 likes. Maybe if everyone give the video a like on the way out, we get over 200. That would be amazing as well. Luke Shaw, by the way, still not training with England. We may actually go into that a little bit more in tonight's show, actually, because that is a big concern going forward. What is the point of Luke Shaw? I think that should be an actual video, to be honest. But yeah, that's for later. Thanks, everybody. We're done. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the football. Hopefully the Turkey-Portugal game looks the best one out of the lot today. Hopefully that's a better one. And we get a bit of entertainment today. Have a great weekend, people. Enjoy the weather if it's nice. If not, I'm sorry. There's not much we can do. Andrew's just liked the video as well, so there you go. Guys, legends, I'll see you all later on this evening. Thank you, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out of